Today's episode on this podcast will be about what is spirituality. And no, I'm not talking about spirituality in terms of religion. I am talking about the soul that all of us has. We are called human beings. We aren't just called humans. The reason why we are called human beings is because we encompass both the aspect of the human evolution, the man, the ape to the man, the instincts, the animalistic tendencies, the ego, the personality, and all of the complexes and depths of emotions and thoughts that we have as a human. Our mind works in really complex ways. And the being aspect is where our spirit comes in, where we have our life force, we have energy, we experience knowledge that comes from the universe, that comes from some people call God or some people call source. In a sense, it comes from a part of you that is so wise, so compassionate, so loving, that is impossible to experience in our day-to-day lives when we are very highly identified with the aspects of the material, with the aspects of being human, with all of the labels and judgments that we have. So I want to share this quote by Haile Selassie. I'm not sure if I said his name right. It's Haile space Selassie. So Haile Selassie is apparently the former emperor of Ethiopia, if I said that right. And he said this: spirituality does not come from religion, it comes from our soul. We must stop confusing religion and spirituality. Religion is a set of rules, regulations, and rituals created by humans, which were supposed to help people spiritually. But due to human imperfection, religion has become corrupt, political, divisive, and a tool for power struggle. Spirituality is not theology or ideology. It is simply a way of life, pure and original as given by the Most High. Spirituality is a network linking us to the Most High, to the universe, and to each other. I posted this on my Instagram account before, back in 2018. And let me just share with you the description that I wrote down as well. This is a misconception. Most people relate spirituality to Christianity, but it's not. Religions have dogmas and rules. Spirituality really doesn't. Spirituality does have universal laws, but it's things like the law of cause and effect, the law of oneness, and even the law of attraction, as well as the law of polarity. I don't know all of the laws, as there seems to be 12 main ones and more even then. But those laws, we are always applying them, whether we are conscious of it or not. And I've been telling everyone around me, please don't confuse spirituality, unconditional love, the universal energy of being, the soul, with religion. Because it's nothing like a religion. It's the way of our being. It's the way we were meant to be and born to be. As children, we were all innocent, intuitive, and our channels were all open for universal love, and our connection to God and all other higher dimensional beings were super open. And believe it or not, babies are telepathic. They can sense your emotions and thoughts. That's why when so many people go deep into their subconscious, they remember many, many things as babies, as children. And some people wonder where certain beliefs about themselves come from. They can't find the root cause at times. And it's usually because it's a past life belief or a belief set into the mind when we were in the womb or as a toddler, a baby. So please be careful and mindful of what you say and think about your kids. Because if you think they are not good looking, their whole lives they will think of themselves as horrible looking, no matter how much other people might say otherwise. It becomes a subconscious belief system. And we all have thousands and thousands of beliefs. It's a process to heal them all, or to change them into positive ones. What's most important is to find out the root cause of it all. When we meditate and sit in silence, we can start to retrieve memories from the subconscious. Dreams help with this too. And especially if you have a good memory of remembering your dreams after you wake up. So remember, spirituality is not a religion. It is a way of life, a way of being a soul. It is energy and the space surrounding us all. It is unconditional, the highest and most universal love of all. Namaste and have a good week. So that was somewhat of a summary of what I wrote in my Instagram account description. Of course, my understanding of spirituality has changed and advanced and expanded over the past 2 or 3 years. Especially the last year, it has helped me come into deeper acceptance of who I am, and to realize that the question itself, who am I, cannot be answered by a label or a box. I realized that it is not the identification of who am I that matters, but rather the question itself, who am I, to bring us deep into the process of realizing who we really are at the core, which is not just spirit, but the essence of everything and nothing, the essence of space. Because if you realize in your life, there would have been moments where suddenly you are at peace and there are no thoughts, and it's beautiful, it's amazing, but it only lasts for a short while. And then there are many times in your life as well where you would have experienced very, very wise knowing coming into you. Like suddenly you just know the truth of the situation. You didn't quite understand before, but suddenly you did. And you have no explanation for it. It's not scientifically explainable. And the reason for that is because we are all that. We are all spirit. We are all space. We all are here as humans to evolve as souls. We are all here to heal, to learn, to expand, to grow. We are here in the three-dimensional space, in the material space, to experience what it's like having senses, what it's like to have limitations, what it's like to have all these labels and boxes surrounding us, only to have ourselves transcend them, go beyond, and come into an integration of both parts of ourselves. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we are still here as a human being. So we are not completely spirit either. We are not completely space and love and peace and, well, some people even want to say starseeds and extraterrestrials. E.T. I'll just say E.T. So we're not just starseed in that sense. We're not just stars. We're not just stardust. We are not just space. We are not just we don't just have the potential to go beyond. We are also still very much limited in our capabilities and abilities because of our personality, our cognitive biases, our subconscious beliefs, our unconscious patterns, the karma and the ancestry that we have brought down with us, either through our family this life or through past lives. Our karmic contracts, they all play a role and a part in this life, and some will matter more than others. I'm talking about like the patterns and the contracts. And so what's most important is, after we realize who we are, which is a process, it's not something we can actually identify with. It's completely wordless in that sense. And after we find that out and come into acceptance and peace and integration with it, then we can start to live out our fullest potential as a human being. And with every step of the way, we continue to be kind, continue to accept, continue to realize that we are beyond our thoughts and our emotions. But at the same time, we are still going to experience them, and we need to accept that. We need to accept that we are here as a human with very, very limited abilities, with many, many obstacles, with many, many challenges, and sometimes many internal conflicts. And we also still have a spirit that holds us, that loves us, that encompasses us, that is space, that brings us ease and peace and a moment of stillness. They are all us in that sense, at least temporarily right now. If you are still alive, it is all us. And I am really passionate about separating spirituality and religion, because spirituality is personal. It is not something that other people can tell you about. It's not something that you fully identify with as well. It's really not identifiable because there is no rules and dogmas and like saying, oh, you have to do this, you must be like that. No, there's no such thing. Spirituality is simply you connecting with a deeper part of yourself. That is all there is to it. Really, that is all there is to it. There is nothing more and nothing less. And the reason why I bring this up is because every time I talk about spirituality, Christians really, really like to bring that as an aspect of their religion. And although all religions have aspects of spirituality, it does, because all religions have some truth in them that comes from the soul, that comes from the universe, that comes from God. And when I mention God here, I don't mean Jesus and I don't mean Buddha. I actually mean like every single God there is out there, or maybe just the stars, really. Is that, oh my gosh. Okay, wait, mind block. Is that religion cannot fully encompass what spirituality is. And the simple reason for that is because religion was brought down by humans. And humans being humans, they like to... So all humans have ego, alright? When I mention ego, it's not like pride. It's not that. When I mention ego, what I mean is like a defense mechanism that you have to protect yourself and to try and reason everything out. It's more than just logic or reasoning skills or left brain. It's like everything that you want to make tangible, everything intangible that you want to make tangible, in that sense. So ego is something that creates a lot of attachment. So it's a lot of getting stuck on something, clinging onto something and not being able to let go. So in this sense, many religions were created from humans who had different thoughts. Even though it was the same teaching, it's the same religion, because they have different thoughts, they have different interpretations, and they have different languages, the things that were passed down by religions gets more and more confusing, more and more complicated, and it spreads out into even more and more branches and different schools of thoughts. And every single school of thought will say that they are the right one. So how is that spirituality? Spirituality in the essence is oneness, is love. What that means is that ultimately everything comes together, everything is one. We are all connected, we are all coming from the same place. So with the way humans have evolved through religion, you would have realized that religion is used as a source of power and control and a form of manipulation, really. And if you are not aware, if you go into it blindly and you don't question, or even if you question, you will get really harsh criticisms. And usually most people in religions will not be able to answer your questions, your deeper questions, when you try to question their faith. So I don't believe in blind faith. I am someone that have explored many different religions, mostly Christianity and Buddhism or Taoism. But in my experience is that every time I question, I just get rejected. I just get flat out. Like there's this wall there. And it's just supposed to be like that. I'm just supposed to accept that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that God condemns. I don't believe that God punishes. I don't believe that God gave us those rules to become like a better human being. They may work for some people, but I feel like it does not work for most people, myself being one of them. And when I went with this approach that I don't believe that God condemns, because if God is loving, why would they condemn in the first place? That will not even be existent at all, because God is loving and forgiving. So there is no way at all that there will be condemnation or punishment. So with this reasoning, I went to explore spirituality. And I am not advocating New Age here, because a lot of people would read spirituality with New Age. And from my experience, I did go into New Age, I'm not going to deny that, but I have come out of it in a sense where I am not all about love and light. I am all about love and truth. I don't believe that everything is so positive, happy-go-lucky-ish. That is not what it means to be a human. What it means to be a human is to go through the ups, it is to go through the downs, it is to suffer, it is to be in pain. And at the same time, it is also to experience pleasures and joys and bliss. So, in my experience at least, is that spirituality has given me an avenue to connect more deeply with myself, to connect with what I call as God, to connect with what I call as soul family, as spirit guides, as other realms that is unseeable but completely connectable if I bring myself there, for me to feel supported, for me to feel loved, for me to feel held. And I don't have names for it. So in New Age, they like to say like, oh, this is my guardian angel, right? Like a certain name, or who, or which ascended master. I don't really believe in those things either. So I just say it as it is, which is like, yeah, it's a supernatural force, and that's it. Yeah, it's kind of like a feeling like God loving you. That's it. I don't really have a word for it. And when it comes to spirituality, you're not supposed to, because the moment you do put a label to it, it comes from the ego again. And when you go on this journey of awakening, you will come into your spiritual ego. We all go through different processes to hit different roadblocks, to come even deeper into who we are, even deeper authenticity, to come to realize even more what this universe is about, who we truly are, and what the truth really is. So my approach is the truth, and I only want the truth. I don't want to settle for illusions. And there are many things in our life that has a lot of illusions. Even inside of ourselves, there are so many illusions that we constantly need to break through if we want to go deeper into the truth. But it will not be easy, and it does take a lot of time, and it does take a lot of processing as well, and commitment to your growth. So my point is that if you have a religion that works for you, great, stick with it, use it. Don't force it onto people. Don't try to preach it, because it will not work for everybody. And ultimately, in every single religion, the core of it is spirituality, but it is not the full encompassed spirituality, because of the flaws of human beings, because of the flaws of the ego. And considering that there were many human beings that passed down these teachings over hundreds and thousands of years, that is a lot of flaws. Like, when I say the word spirituality, it can mean one thing to me, it can mean another thing to another person. So can you imagine how many thousands and millions other interpretations that other thousands and millions of other human beings can have different from me? So if you use that concept, you will come to realize it's that ultimately all the teachings are pretty skewed. They're all pretty flawed. They are not as pure and genuine as they were when they were originally passed down. So I'd say go for what works for you, but also keep an open mind and an open heart to notice that what spirituality really is just to connect with a deeper part of who you are. And it's really personal. It's really personal. It really comes from inside of you. I cannot say it comes from outside of you, because that's just not true. To rely on something that is external is an illusion as well, because ultimately, at the end of the day, everything we experience is things that we have agreed to experience. And when we bring in the law of free will, if we bring in the universal law of free will, that we all have will, and if you notice, if a person's will is very strong, they can break through many barriers, many limitations, many obstacles as well, even if it takes a really, really long time and the same obstacles appear and appear again. The will is that strong. The will is like the arrow that pierces through anything and everything, even the hardest of rocks. That is how strong our will is as human beings. And this will comes from a much deeper part of us as well. It cannot come from a part of us that is limited, because if it is, then we would have given up really, really easily. So I'd say that it's really important to look very clearly at your past, at your history, your experience with religion, your experience with the identification or the definition of what spiritual means, and what it actually means of a God. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter whether you are of a certain religion, or whether you're an atheist, or you believe or you don't believe. I have come into a deeper knowing inside of myself of what God actually means, and what the universe actually means, and what I actually mean. So it's a very personal journey, and everyone who goes through that journey will come to realize it within themselves as well. We can idealize people, we can try and worship people who are the outside of us, but ultimately all the teachings are trying to bring us back inside of ourselves. If you really notice and you really dig deep, you realize that all teachings are ultimately to bring us back into ourselves, and not something external, something outside, something tangible. It's not that. It's definitely not that. And when you cultivate your spirituality more and more, and you build onto its foundation, because it's something that you would have been open to when you were very young. So spirituality also comes from a place of non-judgment, no labels as well, no words as well, no identification really. And when you realize that, when you build upon it, you will come to realize that you invite more space into your life for kind of like what they say, what the shamans say as the spirit communicating to you or through you. So it's to come to that stage where it is not like another being coming into you. No, I'm not talking about that. I know that scares some people, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I mean is, because you allow more connectedness within yourself, into your higher self, into a part of you that is universally connected with everything and nothing at all. When you allow this space into your life, you will realize that many decisions, many obstacles, many things that you experience, you will come to understand it more holistically. You will come to see the truth behind every single illusion. You will come to see the truth behind every single obstacle, why you needed to learn this lesson, why they needed to learn that lesson. What was your purpose in you experiencing that? What was your purpose in you communicating with that person? You will start to realize all these truths, and they will become more and more clear to you ultimately over time as you cultivate this. That's why it's actually really, really important that we find this sense, deeper sense of self and inner knowing, not from an external circumstance or external person or external thing, but really it has to come from inside of us. And this is actually where we start to build our sense of worthiness, our sense of love, our sense of compassion for the world, for ourselves as well. And it's not easy. I'm not gonna say it's easy, because it does take time and it does take a lot of soul searching. It does take a lot of self-inquiry, self-reflection, inner processing of your emotions, of your thoughts, of your past, of your future, of your present. It does take work, but ultimately it really does pay off. And if you go into religion, you will also come to realize what is truth in the religion, what is not truth in the religion, what is man-made and what is God-made. And you will start to only go towards the things that are God-made and not be as easily, I'd say, influenced by other people's judgments, other people's thoughts and opinions, and start to listen and trust your inner voice, your inner knowing even more deeply, which is what we call as the inner God as well. But I don't really use that because I believe that it's vice versa. I believe that God is outside and inside of us, and ultimately that means that we are also a part of God. And well, that's another conversation for another day. But again, my definition of God is not the textbook definition. It's not the Christian definition. It's not any religion definition of God. And when I mention energy, when I mention life force, energy is the aspect between two cells. What holds the cells together? It's the space, right? There is a vibration, there is a frequency that holds two cells together, that vibrates and brings life into you. Without energy, you cannot be alive, you cannot function, you cannot have capacity to think or to feel or to move or to be alive, really. So that's what I mean by energy. And this energy is actually our soul as well. It vibrates, it brings in the life force that is needed to operate as a human being as well. So that's what I mean by energy, and it's what a lot of people call as qi as well. And for the Chinese is qi, and English is life force. Yeah, there are many other names for it as well in different countries, so it's definitely not limited to one, but ultimately it is the same thing. So yes, explore your definition of truth and question everything, because you never know what is the actual truth. And our ego really, really loves to identify with a lot of things and to get attached and to get defensive and to say that it's right and things like that. So it's actually, if we remove or at least let the ego sit at a corner for a while and we connect with a human being from the soul to soul level with much openness, without much need of a label or needing to be right or needing to explain anything really, and come into deeper love and self-acceptance, we allow for connection with another human being that goes beyond the human level. It goes into the being level, it goes into the spirit level, it goes into unconditional love, it goes into unconditional acceptance, it goes into this oneness and connection. But that is only if we allow our ego to be aside, to set aside our judgments, preconceived notions, our subconscious beliefs, our everything that makes us human, really. If we could just set that aside and connect with another person from that deeper level of presence and knowing, you will realize that spirituality has always been inside and outside and everywhere around us. It's never left us. Doesn't matter even if you believe in that or not. It's not meant to be a word, really. It's not meant to be a certain definition. It's meant to be really, really personal. And even atheists can have spirituality. They can be operating from spirituality, or they may even be cultivating spirituality without even knowing it as well, actually. Because it's not about the belief system, it's not about the rules, it's not about the regulations, it's not about the process or the way of how you connect to yourself. It's ultimately just that you connect to yourself and dig deep into the truth of who you are and what this universe is. And that's all there is to it. There's nothing more, there's nothing less. And I wish everyone the best. Namaste. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I apologize if I have offended anyone, because this is a very sensitive topic. But if you did listen to the end, thank you for listening, truly. And please take care. Namaste and much love.